Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have Early Times Kentucky whiskey, straight whiskey, introduced in 1860, aged 36 months in used barrels. This is not the original recipe. A Brown-Forman brand versus Jack Daniel's number 7, the green label. This company was founded in 1866. This is aged about 4 years in new charred oak barrels. And this is not the original recipe. This is from Tennessee. This is from Kentucky. This is not, Early Times is not a bourbon because it is aged in used white oak, charred white oak barrels. This is a bourbon because it is aged in new barrels, but it is not sold as a bourbon. It is sold as a Tennessee whiskey due to the fact that it is charcoal filtered. Oh, I'm sorry, they say charcoal mellowed. They like to use euphemisms there before being placed in the barrel. And people say that disqualifies it as a bourbon. In fact, if you look at the legal definition of a bourbon, that does not disqualify it at all. The filtering process is irrelevant to qualifications for a bourbon. Whether it's charcoal filtered or not, it doesn't matter. Now that Jim Beam Choice that was discontinued, I still have half a bottle of that, or 60% of that bottle. That's charcoal filtered after being aged in the barrel. Still a bourbon. They say charcoal filtered. They don't use the term mellowed. Oh well, anyway, they're both 40 proof. I mean to say 80 proof, 40% alcohol. Now, will I be able to tell them apart at this time? I think so. I think the Jack Daniel's will be a little more distinctive. I find it's a little bit. Let me catch myself. I was corrected on the tour. We don't say harsh, the tour guide told me. We say bold. I think this will be a little bolder than the Early Times. So let's see. Early Times ET, and the other one says JD. This, however, is $8.99, and I saw it for $8.99 a liter. Not the standard $7.50. I saw it for $8.99 a liter. So it is very cheap. Oh, I'm sorry. Brown-Forman. These are both Brown-Forman brands. I don't think they'd appreciate me saying it. It is very value priced. They might say something like the price is favorable. This one is about this liter. This is a liter. Okay, so a liter, $8.99 for a liter of that at least one store I'm aware of that I was in Saturday before the Tulane game. This is about $25 a liter, maybe more. But is it going to be $16 better? From my recollection, it may be $1 better, $2 better, not $16. You might pay $16 for a name. I am not going to do that. Sorry. I filled it up a little too high. Okay, well, I'm not going to top off the Early Times to even it out. I'm not going to drink all that. I don't want to drink all that. Okay, so, but the appearance, golden amber, and the sun will be coming up. It's just starting to peek out. And golden amber. Maybe the Jack Daniel's is a shade darker. I think it is. I think it is. They both have neat labels. right? Like the early times label's got that brown and gold. It's got the little writing on there. It's got the fake wax stamp, just like they do for the Jim Beam. Even the commercials, they show it as real wax, right? And they're stamping it. So it's an attractive presentation. This Jack Daniel's green label is really something. It's spiffy. Green with gold writing and white. Different font, different everything. If you compare this to the Jack Daniel's black, at first glance you say it's the same because it's a bunch of busyness, and it looks like some old 19th century thing. But upon close inspection, you'll notice everything is different, top to bottom. The font, what it says, everything. This shows all the awards, or many of the awards. This talks about the process. Even shows the distillery. They don't show that on the black. So it's sort of like the green is a little bit cheaper, but it has a fancier label, huh? All right. I gotta mix it up because I'll be tipped off, right? I'll be tipped off by glancing at it. And I don't want to cheat. If I was to cheat doing this, what would be the point? That would be a little bit insane. Let's see here. Okay. Let's set right. In case anybody wants to make comments, but I doubt it this early. But they might. Sometimes people will say good morning. After this, I have to go back and watch the National League highlights. I watched all the American League highlights, and then I watched the one interleague game. Looked at the highlights there. And so I'll watch the National League highlights, then look at the standings. Then I'll check the stats every Tuesday. That's my habit. Check the stats. Then I got to look at the college football scores. So I had one game last night, and then write down the rest of the scores, and then do my picks for next week, and then send off the results to the people in my little contest, pick 'em contest, and let them know where everybody stands after week 1. I didn't do as well as some others, some already behind first week. Oh well, happens. Okay. I bought some early time. Now, Dennis Day said, I bought some early times yesterday morning simply because I had watched your reviews of it. Tastes great. Vanilla notes are great. Excellent, excellent. The Clueless Drinker says afternoon. Yeah, afternoon. Morning, because it's only 5:52 a.m. here. I should say, says Peter. Hello there. I don't think you mess around with liquor like I do. You know, the whiskey, the brandy, the gin. But if you ever wanted to explore with us, you're welcome to join the exploration. Victor Clemens says, what's up? I'm doing a review. Chilling, drinking a bud. I'm ready for a Jack Daniel's challenge presentation. Great and good challenge indeed. Yep, it's coming right here and now. Super Apple Forever says, hello, Ron. Good morning. Working overnight and noticed you're live. I am live. Lenach Roy Iman says, nothing beats the classic JD. Well, let's see about that. Let us just see about that. I'm getting paranoid about mixing these up. I just feel like I don't have them mixed up enough. I think JD is going to beat the ET because I think Jack Daniel's, you see, even with that little bit of whiskey added, I can tell by the weight, just that little half an ounce is throwing me off. Every time I lifted up the glasses to mix them, I could feel it. I could feel the it's amazing how sensitive you can get to little weight differences and color. It's true. Let me try this. My name spells name your channel backwards. Name your channel. I was bored when making the account. I can see that. Name your channel. Name that tune. All right. Name your channel. Okay, well, I'm going to call you Lenach. 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 I have to look closer to the screen because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. All right, I got them mixed now. Oh, I'm going to drink on this all day. I won't be sipping this thing because this is like about a full glass, you know, a full, if you had a whiskey glass serving. Usually I use the little brandy snifters. I don't know, for some reason this morning I didn't feel like using those. So I use these little mini, yeah, the mini snifters with the stem snifters. Okay, whatever you call them. From Diamore. Never been a fan of Jack Daniels, says Tour Nation Gaming. I know that Jimmy Page was, as evidenced by a photo I looked at yesterday. Keith Richards too. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Oh, so spicy. So woody. I got some on my nose. That's probably the best way to do it. Sniff it in. Yeah. But not so antiseptic. You know, some of these smell like you're at the doctor's office waiting to get stitches in your leg and you smell all the antiseptic. You just feel like germs are being killed as you breathe in, right? This one is like sweet, sugary, brown sugar, wood, vanilla notes, even charcoal. Oh, I think it might be the Jack Daniels #7 green label sold in only 5 states today. But let's go with this one. Now you see, this has got to be early times. Now I called it and I didn't even taste it. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you. It's muted. Oh, it smells. There's wood. There's spice. There's sugar. There's the stereotypical American whiskey smell, or as the U.S. government calls it, an aroma generally associated with whiskey. All of that. Some dried flowers, some floral. Okay, all of these things. And they're nice, and they're enjoyable, and they're fine. And there's nothing off, weird, repulsive about it. I've smelled some cheaper liquors, and they make you jump back because you say, whoa, whoa, people buy this? And you can get the spice, but you have to really inhale it deeply, okay? But that one is so much, okay, to use their term from the tour, much bolder. It just has so much more character. Now let's go with the taste. Any more comments? Have you tried the Jack Daniels Tennessee cider? No, and I never will, I have to say. Tour Nation Game and TNG says, how often are you getting stitches in your leg, Ron? Well, not too often. Last time I got stitches in my leg was 1979. But my daughter has the bad skin like me, and she's gotten cut many times. I had to take her to the doctor, and it just smells like a doc. I'm just using that as an example anyway. I mean, we've all been, I would assume we've all been to the doctor's office, and it has that antiseptic smell. You know, like in that movie Apocalypse Now, that smell, that gasoline smell. It's like that distinctive odor. All right, taste. Whew. Get on the wood train, get on the wood train. That is woody. Ha, ya, hasta la vista, baby. If you don't like a lot of wood, you might not like this whiskey. And that might be the thing that repels people about Jack Daniels. It's like you're drinking toothpicks, like you're drinking wood. And it makes you look foolish. And a man in my position can't afford to look. Or it makes you look ridiculous, right? And a man in my position can't afford to look ridiculous. Now you get the hell out of here. If that Goomba tries any rough stuff, you tell him I ain't no band leader. Yeah, I heard that story. Okay, enough of that silliness. Some wood, not on the wood train. Sweet, a background of wood, a taste commonly associated with whiskey, as the U.S. government would say. It all my predictions are coming true. All my predictions are coming true because I said that the Jack Daniel's number 7 would be bolder, or as people on the street would call it, harsher. And that's the case. See, I don't know about this. In isolation, old old. Jack Daniel's it's not old, so it's number 7. Old number 7 is Black Label. This is just simply number 7. In isolation, it's enjoyable, good. You can talk about all the attributes and make a 8-minute review video. Yes, blah blah. But when stacked up against something else, it's a little harsh. And I can see why people are saying, I don't like that stuff. It's too jarring. You know, it's like some of these high gravity lagers are just, whether they're craft or mass produced, doesn't matter to me. Like, say, Paulana Salvatore. That's a craft. Well, it's kind of mass produced, but compared to what we get in America, it's craft, okay? It's a little jarring. Colt 45, high gravity. It's more than a little jarring. So it kind of has that, and this is a macro whiskey, if there was ever a macro whiskey, right? People might say, why are you drinking macro whiskey? Drink something handcrafted. Okay. You read that article about how a lot of these handcrafted whiskeys are using liquor sourced from Midwest Grain Products in Indiana at the huge facility that farms out base liquor to other companies so that they can handcraft it in homemade barrels from their granny. Look at the label, people. If it doesn't say distilled in such and such state, if it only says bottled and aged in Bunkie, Louisiana, or wherever you're getting it from, you better be careful, because it's probably coming from Midwest Grain Products, MPG, formerly the Seagram's, the incredibly huge Seagram's production facility. People tried to go and make lawsuits over that. Guess what? They lost. They lost the lawsuit because those terms have no legal meaning. Handcrafted, craft beer, and there's a whole bunch of other things. They have no legal standing. They're just simply marketing terms. The U.S. government allows all that because handcrafted could mean you used your hand to press a button. Still used your hand, you pressed a button, then the machine went wing and started processing it. So there's no basis from which to launch a lawsuit. And then there's no tort. So you have to show that there was a tort. In other words, damage. Like with the Blue Moon lawsuit, the position of the judicial system was, well, how were you damaged? You bought Blue Moon and you thought it was craft beer, which is not a legal definition anyway. So right there's no legal standing. And secondly, you admitted you liked the beer, you thought it was enjoyable, but you thought there was a tort, a damage, because you found out it was brewed by Coors, when you could have easily taken 5 minutes and looked that up on the internet. So these cases are thrown out of court. They're dismissed. Anyway, well, this is really strange because That's sun. Come on, sun. I forgot with this daylight savings time, it takes forever for it to be daylight. Because, like I said, it was 5:52, but it was really 4. In real time, it was 4:52, right? Time is a construct. Time isn't really a construct since it actually literally is 24 hours a day. The sun comes back up, right? So daylight savings time is a construct. Well, I guess time is a construct in the sense that it's a concept, right? A concept based on reality. But daylight savings time is a concept based on manipulation of a construct or a conception of reality, of a true reality. And I hate daylight savings time more than I hate anything Metallica's done since 1990. I would look at both of those things as a monstrous betrayal. Well, I called it right off the bat, not officially, but I unofficially called it right. I said this one, without even tasting it, I said, this is Jack Daniel's number 7, and this is Early Times, and I'm going to stick with that. Lenach says, do you like rum? I like rum labels. I've never actually tasted rum to my knowledge. Maybe the little rum candies my grandmother had back in the early 70s. No, I've never actually tasted rum. I would probably like it, but it's probably going to be about 15 years before I get to that, if I ever get to it. So let's say 2032, we'll look at rum. So check 2032. That's why what I hate about daylight savings time is it makes you think you've overslept, says Victor. Right, and then you can't get to sleep because you're saying it's late. I have to go to work, but then you realize, well, it's not really late. It's not late. And the sun does not, it's not daylight, you know, at 8 o'clock at night. Not in real time. I mean, unless you live in Duluth, Minnesota, or Reykjavik, you know what I mean? Or Murmansk. Okay, obviously it's Jack Daniels. Obviously, JD, Early Times. I'm so proud of myself. I got it. I did it. I did it. Well, don't be too proud if you can tell these apart. It's not like differentiating Coors from Pabst Blue Ribbon. No, these are too dissimilar. They're similar in proof. They look similar. You know, they look like whiskey, right? Blah, blah, blah. They're from the same part of the United States, the Mid-South, the Upper South, etc. But they don't taste too similar. Which one wins though? Which one wins? Is there a winner? Because a lot of times there's a tie. I just don't like drinking wood. It's too much corn. There's too much wood. It's like those CDs in the 1980s, like 1986, they were too screechy. Like they were loud, but they were like an unusual, weird loud. They were unpleasant loud. So if you took and played Master of Puppets really loud on vinyl, it sounded okay. It sounded good, like at the concert. It sounded good. But if you played a CD, you say, "Oh, what's wrong with this?" It was like a subliminal inappropriateness. But that one's more like an overt thing. It's not even subliminal. I think Early Times proves to us, I'm starting to really pick up the corn. If you drink more and more, you'll pick up that corn. These are both predominantly corn, okay? That's the grain. So in the world of beer, we look down on corn. Corn, but in the world of whiskey, corn is a friend. Corn is whiskey's friend in many cases. But I think early times shows us that sometimes less is more. Yeah, it has less flavor. Yes, it has less boldness. And yes, I think we can say that it has even less character. Yet, I've used this term in beer, the international enjoyment units, the IEUs, are higher. In other words, it's more enjoyable to drink, even though it's got less of a hit. Okay, so too woody, too I mean, if I was drinking it on its own in isolation, I'd probably be satisfied. I wouldn't complain. But in competition, it fails. Now, I don't think Brown-Forman is putting out a $9 bottle and wanting it to fail against a $25 bottle. And they're certainly probably not excited about people making videos showcasing that. Well, these videos don't get many views anyway. These long, drawn out extrapolation, explorations of taste. So nothing, don't worry, Brown-Forman. I doubt this little few dozen views on these taste challenges is going to impact the sales of Jack Daniels. It certainly won't affect the number 7, the green label, since you don't make it available except in only 5 states. And the rumor on the street is that it's not going to be sold much longer anyway. One more thing, but they do have to sell it some kind of way. You do know the story of the green label whiskeys, right? Evan Williams green label, Jack Daniels green label, Jim Beam Choice green label, which is no longer made. I'm going to answer that question in a moment. Then, and I know this is true because they say it on the Jack Daniels website and they explained it on the tour. Okay, they make whiskey. They have a barrel house. It might have 22,000 barrels in the barrel house. These are huge buildings. I went into 3 of them. All barrels are equal in their construction and their quality pretty much, but all positions are not equal. The barrel houses are not air conditioned or heated. It's all natural temperature. So they're just stacked in these open air houses. They have windows with slats to keep rain out. But they're exposed to the weather. So in the summer, when it's 90 degrees, they're getting 90 degrees. In the winter, when it's 8 degrees, they're getting 8 degrees. Okay. Now, they said that the barrels lower in the house and in the middle of the house, lower in the middle, like say the core of the house, the barrel house, the whiskey tends to be inferior. Why? It doesn't get the heat. It needs the heat. They say it needs that summer heat. So the best whiskeys are the ones at the top floor, in the sun, in the heat, at the edges of the house, where it's going to get the most heat exposure. Those are your ones that they test and say, good stuff. And they'll make a single barrel, like Jack Daniel's single barrel, or Evan Williams single barrel, or Jim Beam single barrel. Those are the ones. But the ones in the lower core, they'll use some of it for blending, okay? Blend, take some of it out the barrel blend. Because they don't ever really, Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or in early times, they're blended whiskeys. They take various barrels from around the barrel house and they blend until they fall within those tolerances, the Jack Daniels tolerances. It has to taste this way. All right, okay. But Jack Daniels said, we don't blend whiskey, we mingle it. I said, okay. It's mingled. The guy got irritated. He said, if you want to, he said, blend is when you put something in a blender and you turn it on. That's blending. All right, whatever. Okay, so they do all their mixing. Ta-da-da-da-da. At the end, though, they have a lot of these barrels down in the middle, lower in the house, in the middle. They can't use all of it. Okay, so they finished blending. Now they got all this left over, and it could be thousands of gallons. They got 2 choices. Well, they have 3 choices. The third choice would be the worst, throwing it all away. Well, they're not going to throw it away. That is not going to happen. They're not going to dump it. Okay. Good morning, Jay, says Hoobity. Hello, Hoobity. Good morning. I appreciate your support. Second choice, they can sell it as a green label like Jack Daniels No. 7 or Evan Williams green label, which you'll never see on their website. If you get on Evan Williams' website, that does not exist. So that's the second choice. They could sell it as a green label, a couple of dollars cheaper, because they find it's inferior to what their standard flavor should be in aroma and body. Okay. Third choice, which is probably the most common choice, I bet you. They can bottle it and brand it something else. Think. Put it in a bottle, put a brand label on there, and it's something else. You'll never know. Obviously, some budget whiskey. And they're getting some money off of it, and you're not aware. Or they could sell it off to a blender, like say Sazerac. They can use it as blends to make their private label brands, right? Like 75 South whiskey or Winn-Dixie whiskey. See, so they're not going to waste any of it, but they're not going to use it as their showcase product but they're probably thinking, you know, they're tasting it all day, right? So they're tasting it all day and they're saying, oh, it's off this way, it's off that way. If they put it in the regular black label, Jack Daniels Old No. 7, how many people would really notice? But even if it's 1 or 2%, it might be enough people to cause problems. They start writing emails. Hey, what's wrong with this Jack Daniels? I notice it's slightly off. See, they don't need that. Oh, thank you. You like my shirt? I got this from an Anheuser-Busch distributor. No, it's not because I'm special. It's because I was at a baseball game. They were giving them out to anybody who wanted one. So that's the fascinating world of green label whiskey. You say it probably happens in beer, in the world of beer too, huh? You would assume. Go to the grocery store and get those private label beers. You think they tasted that and thought that was the best they could do? Let's hope not. Let's hope that's not what they thought was the best beer that could come out of La Crosse or Memphis or Latrobe. Yeah. All right, so this was a clear winner. Clear winner. Early Times. Now you say that's madness. How could a cheap whiskey like that be a clear winner? I'm only going on my taste. To me, it's more enjoyable, okay? Even though it's more dull. Like I just said earlier, less is more occasionally. So, and they're discernible from the first sniff. So from the first sniff, you can tell which is which. Okay, so that's it for the Early Times Taste Challenges, going up against everything. And we got a new bourbon coming into play. That's the plan in 2 days. May not be posted for a while, but it might be. And then we're going to put it up against everything. Right? We'll go through the rotation and put it up against everything. I'm afraid that Jack Daniels Green Label is at the very end. If it loses another contest, you're not going to see it again. It's strange, though. It's really strange because I did the black label in it. Oh, it's got me thinking now because I did the black label and it wasn't as harsh or woody and all. Huh, maybe that company does know something. Yeah, maybe. All right, thanks for watching this video production. Goodbye, folks.